We're at the National Championship Air Races in Reno, Nevada. There's 6 classes here racing, and we're here to win.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
It's an air race. 9 airplanes are doing a circular oval track, kind of like more of a NASCAR in the sky.
Pilots from 6 different countries, including the United States. If you take these airplanes that race here at Reno, we are probably the fastest examples of these type aircraft in the world.
It's not like any other aviation event you've ever seen. It's a different fan experience. You can come right in, walk right into the pits, you know, way more accessible than NASCAR or any other form of auto racing.
These airplanes, they are not forgiving airplanes. You have to be on top of it, you have to be on your game, or the airplane is going to hurt you. It's very serious once the canopy goes on, and you have to be 100% focused.
These airplanes are probably the fastest prop-driven airplanes in the world.
We're approaching right at 500 miles an hour. The game's on.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe, USA.
Oh yes, you get the idea. This is that week, that magical week in the desert. Thousands upon thousands, teams, planes, fans from around the world for this unique event in all the world of sports. This is it, the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe. All comes together on this special week when we decide the national championships. I'm Tommy Sanders here with air race announcer and pilot, the wild thing, Steve Stavrakakis. Great to have you alongside this year.
Tommy and fans, welcome back to my favorite week of the year. Reno Race Week 2018 is back, the world's fastest motorsport. We've got 121 competitors from all around the world, 6 distinctly different classes on 3 different race courses. Unlimited's Jets and Sport Gold, 8 miles. T6s at 5 miles, and 5 planes and Formula Ones right up close and personal at 3.5 miles right in front of our fans.
We're going to start with one of our classes right in front of said fans today. They are anxious and ready to go, and we are ready to go with Formula One. This 3.5 mile course and speeds, well, getting up there around 250 miles an hour. Some unbelievable stuff. Of course, we got a great field assembled here. This is 1A. This is the gold qualified, featuring the defending champion from 16 and 17 last year, Lowell Slater in the Freydnaut. Of course, he will be in pursuit of Steve Senegal, the #1 qualifier over 245 miles an hour, with 6 championships to his credit in the endeavor, most recent in 2015. And of course, Justin Metters is what is always in the conversation here, a paraplegic flyer with a plane that is designed for his special situation.
So this airplane actually has 0 provisions for an able-bodied pilot. It's designed specifically for myself as a paraplegic pilot. My pitch and roll control is the same as anybody else's, but I have a left stick in the airplane that moves forward and back for left and right rudder. And then on that stick, I also have the throttle, so it's a twist motorcycle throttle. And then on each stick, I have a brake master cylinder so that I can have differential braking for each wheel. So it's a bit different than standard, and coordination-wise, flying the airplane, it's a little more difficult to stay coordinated and all that kind of things, because you're doing 2 different things with your hands at the same time, or more than 2 things sometimes. So it's a little bit more complicated. It's definitely a handful to fly all the time. My hands are on the controls at all times. So the airplane knows, though, it has no clue that, you know what I mean? It flies just like anybody else's airplane once it's in the air.
Well, you saw the green flag go down, and as we get started with this Heat 1A, we should say that F1 or Formula One is one of 2 of our classes, Steve, where the race it's not a flying start, literally. It starts on the deck.
Yeah, this is what we call our Grand Prix style standing start. When the red flag is up, the pilots know that they've got 10 minutes. When the red flag comes down, it counts down to 2 minutes, and the crews have to move away from the aircraft. When the green flag goes up, they have to get ready. They start holding the brakes, powering up these mighty O200 engines. When the green flag goes down, it's go time.
We are underway. These 8 competitors in Heat 1A here, also including Judy, piloted by Matthew Coughlin, Tumbleweed with Jerry Marshall, no strings attached. Philip Justin, that's race 79. Ross Killen was a part of the conversation last time around last year, made a great Great run with the Kraken and Philip Goforth in Annie, one of the Cassets.
You know, Tommy, I might add that standing start brings in a lot of strategy for these crew chiefs, because just like taking off on your bicycle in low gear versus a high gear, these guys have fixed pitch props, which means they can't change the pitch of the prop in the air. So they've got the choice. They can start out with a flat pitch or a power prop. It's going to get them in the air quicker, get them off the line quicker. But then again, just like riding your bike in that low gear, you're going to tap out as far as your top end earlier. If you go with a high pitch prop, you're going to give up a disadvantage on the takeoff, but you're going to have a lot more bang and punch at the end of this race when you really need it. So a lot of strategy goes into the standing start.
Trade-offs and strategies. It is like a chess game in the air.
And just like chess pieces have their own name, these pilots and crew chiefs actually name their own props. That's how personal they are, the choice of props on these aircraft.
Well, look at positions 1, 2, and 3. Those were definitely our 3 favorites, our 3 top qualifiers, starting out with Justin Metters, actually, whom we just met in that special feature there, leading the way at this point. Can't express to you, and it's hard to tell watching them in the air how really small these craft are. You saw on the deck you had a little perspective there, but you really just put it on like a spacesuit more than climb into a cockpit.
They actually wear these aircraft, you bet. The aircraft has a minimum weight of 500 pounds, which is half the weight of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The pilots have a minimum weight of 150 pounds with gear, which that's usually not a problem. Most of these pilots haven't seen 150 pounds since they were in the 4th grade. The airplanes have to have 66 square foot of wing area. They are fixed gear and, as I said earlier, fixed pitch prop. So some limitations. It's amazing the speed they're getting out of airplanes with the gear hanging out in the wind and unable to change the pitch of the prop in the air.
Well, watch Justin Metters in action there and look at that current speed. That's right up there, even above the top qualifying speed before this race started. So he's found something, Steve, that is working very, very well and keeping him in the lead.
I've been building this airplane now for 3 years. Finally have it finished, finally have it here. We have a little tuning up left to do on the airplane. Hope to find a little bit more speed out of it. You know, these guys may have a little left in reserve that they're looking at too, so we want to find a little more just to make sure we can stay out front. And then, you know, each race I'm going to try to fly a little cleaner and a little nicer lines, and hopefully keep the speed going until through Sunday.
White flag, white flag.
White flag is out. We are in the final of our 8 laps right now, and it's just a matter of race 34, Justin Metters and Limitless hanging on, holding off tough competitors like Lowell Slater and Steve Senegal.
You know, you can't really tell, I can't appreciate how close these airplanes really are. If you see a cockpit footage on this thing and you look down at the shadows, the shadows are side by side. You really can't appreciate how close these airplanes are right here unless you're in them going over 250 miles an hour. This is amazing racing.
Look how tight this battle is here for second place between Slater and Senegal. Of course, these guys are all hoping for better pole positions when we reach the national championship round, the gold round. But this race, Formula One, Heat 1A, all the way. Justin Metters of Fort Worth, Texas in race 34, Limitless.
Well, we designed this airplane to hopefully be at the front, and now, you know, I guess it looks like out of nowhere, but we've been working on it for 3 years to get it to the front of these races. So a lot of work has gone into it and a lot of development, and we, you know, finally were able to start flying the airplane in January. So we had from January till now to put all that time into the airplane to figure out how to get it as fast as possible to get here, and I guess a lot of that stuff worked out for us today.
Wonderful start in Formula One for Justin Metters. Congratulations, that's a beauty. We're going now from the smallest. When we come back, the fastest. The Jets are on the way to Reno.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit renotahoe.com. Come visit the 56th Annual Air Races this September. Lock in your tickets at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL, the #1 selling brand of gasoline-powered handheld outdoor power equipment in America. You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.
Yes, you find this event in Reno Tahoe. It's just a mecca of outdoor encounters, from mountain biking to off-roading, skiing. We've got golf as well. And how about the largest man-made climbing wall, 164 feet tall. Steve, I'll let you take care of that. I know we'll have to drag you off that at the end of the day today.
No,
but
you're not gonna get me on. I'm a pilot, but I'm afraid of heights.
Well, right now we got some racing to take care of, and the fastest variety of racing here at Reno. This is the jet class.
That's right, Tommy. The jet class has been dominated by the Czech-built Aero Vodahody L39s for several years now. These aircraft are capable of the course maximum of 525 miles per hour set by the FAA as the max safe airspeed for this course. This is an aerial start. They take off, they go around behind Peavine Mountain in echelon formation. Our pace plane brings them down the starting chute in wing line abreast formation. Now they have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. That's the light on the mountain straight ahead of them. Once they get to that light, it's a sharp left turn, 5 positive G pull, and then it's race on, and they can change lanes after this point right here.
All right, and we are race on right now. We have 5 competitors in this Heat 1B. This is the second tier of competition. One of these actually will make it to the gold competition, but for right now, they're trying to get the best job in the silver class done today. The qualifying times are very tight. And additionally, with the 5 planes, this is probably our most international heat of all. We have 2 of the 5 from Australia and another one of the planes from Brazil.
All flying Czechoslovakian airplanes in front of people from all corners of the world over the Nevada desert.
We got it all here. The world is coming together for this race right here, Jet 1B.
Now, about the only straightaway these pilots have on the course is what we call the Valley of Speed. That's over there on the 10 o'clock to about the 8 o'clock position on the course, at which time they enter the pylons 7, 8, and 9, where they're limited to they have to be above 50 feet but below 250 feet, both altitudes set by the FAA in the interest of safety on this course as they approach our crowd.
We're watching our race shaping up here between 1 and 2, and it's pretty much going according to the chalk, according to the qualifying so far. Race 69, Lachi Onslow in the drop bear got the lead over our second place qualifier, Jeff Turney from right here in Reno in the Robin 1, race 54. Take a look at race 1 right there, making a move on second place, Jeff Turney in race 54. The Athena doing its best to make a pass right here, and this is the part of the course where you often see this maneuver.
Oh, absolutely, and just like any other kind of motorsports racing, you get a battle going for second place between the second, third place. It frees the first place guy up to just run away with it. He's out in clean air already, which is a huge advantage. And then these other 2 guys get battling each other, and they lose sight. Next thing you know, they look up, first place is gone. They're never going to catch him.
All of our top 3 actually exceeding their qualifying times, definitely stepping it up for this race. Part of the carrot that's dangled in front of them is the opportunity for one of them to move up to the gold class to battle for the national championship at the end of the week, and that's significant.
Well, that's with all of our classes, Tommy, because all week long, this is a chess game. Every race is a chance to position yourself better to get the best starting position for the next race without breaking the airplane. And look how close second, third place are right now.
Second and third place all giving chase to Lachi Onslow in the drop bear, the L39, who was keeping his margin rather large right here. We are getting ready to complete lap 5 of 6, so our 47 miles we will have traveled at the end of this is coming right up. It's bearing down on these 2 in the back. I don't think they're going to have a shot at catching Onslow in race 69, but still, what a great race between the 2, Jeff Turney and Bob McCormick.
That's right, Turney and McCormick, both local pilots from right here in Reno, Nevada, are getting a lesson in air racing from our Armadale Australian pilot, Lachi Onslow.
White flag, white flag.
Oh, it's gone by so quickly for him and not quickly enough. He loves his position, and he's looking to take this thing home, and I don't see anyone challenging him. Pilot from Armadale, Australia.
6 miles left. White flag, white flag. Can he hold on? Now, the big race is second place, though. Jeff Turney from Reno, Nevada, again, holding off Bob McCormick, another fellow pilot from right here in Reno, Nevada, an airline pilot. But I think they're probably going to finish that way because Jeff's got the inside line, shorter course.
Yeah, a lot of pride in the Reno City Jet Championship here on the line, and we've enjoyed watching it. 50 feet above the desert floor, going in excess of 430 miles an hour. That is thrilling enough.
That's right. Take that, NASCAR.
Still back and forth. Hey, this is not over yet. Second place has yet to be decided. This is just seemingly getting closer and closer as we get very close to heading into the home stretch here. And so far, Jeff Turney able to hold off Bob McCormick, but can he do it for another 5 seconds? We'll just see. Got to give credit, though, to our winner there, Lachi Onslow right there, making it look easy. It's not.
Checker flag, checker flag.
He moves on with the win under his belt, but look at this. This is going to be very close. McCormick closing in. Can he do it?
No.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Jeff Turney in Robin 1.
I don't think he got him, Tommy. I don't think he got, it was close, but I don't think he got him. Jeff pulled up. Jeff wouldn't have left the course unless he already crossed the steel start-finish pylon. He did get him. Look at less than 1 mile an hour difference in speed on our second, third place aircraft. What a race.
A fraction of a mile an hour. Well, coming up next, those World War II trainers, so important to this nation's military effort. Now they're important to these race fans. We'll be back.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
On this day in the desert at Stead Airport, great crowd on hand. These are the greatest fans in the world, and they are being treated to a very power-packed dance card today. How about 80 years for this particular class? Like right here, the T6 class, these World War II trainer planes. Just a lot of history out there. And there's John Lomar. There's our defending champion from last year, 2017. Radial Velocity, race number 88. He would love to hang on to that designation, Steve.
That's right. And Tommy, we've talked about our distinctly different starting procedures for our races. Our T6s start left to right or west to east in a line abreast formation. As they come across the steel start-finish pylon, it's a sharp left turn onto the course, which is the shorter course than the Unlimiteds or the Jets run, and that first turn gets awfully crowded.
Going to be 5 laps around this 5-mile course here for a total just under 25 miles.
I always hold my breath in this first turn. Look at that. You can't appreciate how many airplanes are in a small amount of real estate unless you're in the cockpit looking down. Nothing but wings, canopies, and props around you.
Such a big part of the experience here. The sounds of each in the different classes, Steve, but this one truly unique in these T6s.
T6s have their own sound. Now that low rumble you hear, that's that 1,340 cubic inch radial Pratt Whitney air-cooled engine. That loud crackling sound you hear, that's the 100 inch to 109 inch propeller. It's a two-bladed prop, but it's so long the propeller tips are actually going supersonic, creating that mini sonic boom sound that you hear that's so distinct to a T6, possibly a 206 or 210 Cessna, but especially a T6 racer.
There's John Lomar. There's our defending champion right now. His qualifying speed 243 miles an hour. We're going to get a reading from him in just a moment, how he's doing currently today, but it looks like he's not doing altogether bad, Steve. That's the song these people want to hear. That's music to their ears here in Reno, and everyone who's watching at home now, because it's fun to just lay out and listen.
Absolutely, and the T6 class is so competitive. They're so close. They can't do a lot of modifications. They can't run funny fuel. A stock Pratt Whitney 1,340 cubic inch radial makes about 550 to 650 horsepower. These guys are fast airplanes running 800 to 850 horsepower. They all have to weigh in at 4,000 pounds, including the pilot, 50 gallons of fuel. So very, very strict competition rules to keep them evenly matched up.
Pilot skill is certainly very, very important in this. One of the closest things we have to a spec race. Each of our classes is so unique. They each offer a different sort of appeal to the fans here. And where else in the world can you find racing in this format with 6 different classes? Well, that would be exactly nowhere else.
Right now, what's unique about this venue, it is the only place in the world where you have closed course pylon air racing in all 6 classes. Jets, Unlimiteds, Sport, T6, Formula, and Biplane. You can see all of these here, nowhere else in the world. The rest, with the fabulous performers we have in the military, all just add to the excitement of air racing every year in September in Reno.
White flag, white flag.
The first 4 laps have melted away very, very quickly. John Lomar in control right here. He's the defending champion. He's making it look very, very easy. Hats off to John Lomar. We'll start praising his victory lap here, although it is still the official final lap of the race. But he's held off 2 guys with about 12 victories, 12 national championships in T6 during the course of this Heat 1A.
You know, Lomar kind of came out of the shadows a couple years ago and won it, and those other guys are saying, you know, who was this guy? Where did he come from? You know, he's always been part of the pack, but John Lomar has really come of age in T6 air racing the last couple years.
Checkered flag.
Here he is, taking it. John Lomar, very, very important. Only 2 races leading up to our championship round, our gold race, and he's taking a very important step right there. John Lomar, Dallas, Texas, in radial velocity, barely ahead of Chris Rushing and Nick Macy. lot of great stuff on the way. We're taking a trip back in time to a format that's 100 years old. The biplanes are next.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit renotahoe.com. Oris, the official timekeeper of the National Championship Air Races. And brought to you by STIHL, maker of the #1 selling brand of chainsaw worldwide.
Well, we do a lot of things great here in the Reno Tahoe area, especially all things culinary. The Great Italian Festival in Reno, the Rib Cook-Off and Sparks, two of the region's biggest food festivals. Tens of thousands of people coming into the hearts of the city, all in appreciation of food, music, overall culture. Just a great place to be. Reno Tahoe for this great event.
Yeah, much like the Formula Ones earlier, our biplanes are also the Grand Prix standing start. They're on a 3.5-mile course right here in front of the stands. They're going to take off. They're going to round the course one full time. When they pass the steel start-finish pylon, it's race on. Now, special note here, our 11-time championship airplane and our reigning champion, Andrew Bueller, did not start for this race, getting the excitement level up for all the other racers who now have a chance at this one.
Well, these are the fastest 8 biplanes this week. Of course, -1, you mentioned Andrew Bueller right there, though, the top qualifiers. And we had a race 1A scheduled, but it was canceled because of wind, which happens occasionally here in the desert. So this is race 2A, but these are gold class racers, Steve.
Yeah, another reason the biplanes run early in the morning with the formulas are they are very susceptible to wind, especially on landing. These things are very short coupled. Most airplanes are spin-offs of the Pitt Specials or the Mong Sports. They're very small biplanes. They can be single or two-place configuration. They're limited to 360 cubic inch. They're air-cooled engines. Most of them are Lycoming 4-cylinder engines, but they are limited to 2 wings, fixed gear, and fixed pitch prop, again, requiring a lot of strategy on the crew chief's part.
Once again, fun to listen to, as are all these classes here. And you're right about the size of these biplanes, Steve. You got to look at them on the deck for some perspective. And this is not wing walking stuff from the old barnstorming days. Not that size biplane.
No, most of these aircraft are used in competition the rest of the year when they're not here racing at Reno. Again, very short coupled, very highly maneuverable. Most of them designed, a spin-off of the design by Curtis Pitts back in the 60s. The small Pitts biplane or the Mong Sport biplanes.
Very nimble in the air, sort of like the quarter horses of all our classes here. Not so graceful on the deck. They're a little bit hard to maneuver when they are on the runway, but up in the air, boy, they are magnificent to behold.
Yeah, the toughest maneuver in one of these biplanes is the landing, without a doubt.
That white and silver biplane right there, race 66, is Scott Thompson from Rio Linda, California. In second hand, he is holding down our lead right now. Right behind him, John D'Alessandro from right here in Reno, Nevada, in the RB Special. Both of those are the Pitts brand.
Yeah, keeping in mind that life got breathed into these guys, into these teams, by the fact that our fastest qualifier, Andrew Bueller in Phantom, did not start this race.
Scott Thompson, by the way, our leader, was one of the slower planes last year, but he has built a plane in which all the parts and pieces have already had a life in the air, and now they're going the second go-around. His story and the others who helped him build this remarkable plane are our Reno Tahoe Top Guns. Visit renotahoe.com.
Yeah, for the name, secondhand, the reason we have it that is because everything on the airplane is used parts. You know, stuff that was either laying around or donated or whatever. And the second meaning for the name is secondhand's all you're going to need to time it. Because a fast biplane on the inner course it's going to go around in less than 60 seconds.
We decided to build him a faster plane, and we supported him in that. And I did all the fabric work. As Eric would finish parts, he'd hand them to me, and I'd take them home and do fabric. And I did all this in my living room.
Started off, as Scott said, with a set of C wings we found in Southern California. The landing gear is modified from a standard Pitts gears in Tony's airplane over there. This prop was the original test prop that we did off Jeff original test prop on the Mong Sport number 23.
We did everything in the living room except for the fuselage because it wouldn't fit with the gear on.
The engine was the original engine from the first 2 years of the Reno Rabbit. The engine mount was hanging in a hangar. The landing gear came from a friend of Jeff's, and he gave us the landing gear, the axles, the brakes, and the wheels.
rudder pedals were, I think Scott picked those up. They came with the fuselage. The wings were picked up in Van Nuys. Another guy had them hanging in a storage unit. Oh, the fuel tank was another part that he found online and had it stored in his hangar.
The number of airplanes that were scrapped to make this thing. So about 5 different aircraft came together to make this one.
White flag, white flag.
Fascinating, Steve. I was kind of looking for maybe some of your old cufflinks or something on that plane right there. Obviously, in certain cases, it takes a village, or in this case, an extended family of your colleagues to make a racing plane.
Well, I guarantee you, when everybody was contributing a part here and a part there, they had no idea they were actually arming the enemy, because he's used this hodgepodge of parts to beat them at their own game. What a story.
And that is exactly what he is in the process of getting done right now. We're down to lap 6 of 6. Man, oh man, Scott Thompson looking for his first victory in biplane here in Reno, and he can just about taste it at this point.
Yeah, number 66, he's routing them all right. That Route 66 is on a roll here. And you got to love it when a plan comes together, or a hodgepodge of parts from everybody's hangar and walls of hangars from around the country.
We are about to make it official, the first victory ever for Scott Thompson in biplane in the second hand. Of course, the rest of the parts of this plane have been around. Maybe they've been winners before, but a great moment for Scott Thompson.
I think every lap was within a tenth of a second. We timed all his laps. He's on a string. This kid can fly. Oh my God.
The epitome of I love it when a plan comes together.
First race, man! First, woo! Oh, I can't believe it! Yeah!
In the books now, Heat 2A, and Scott Thompson with the great victory there put himself a step closer to that gold race and maybe a national championship. When we come back, the fastest in the desert, the jet competition from Reno is on the way.
It's the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
You know, there's a culinary movement in Reno Tahoe. The local chefs know exactly how to satisfy your taste buds. Many of the eateries source their meats and produce from local ranchers and farmers. The food culture is a melting pot of flavors, really, in this part of the country. Includes Basque flavors from Spain and also Italian influences.
Speaking of influences, let's influence the races with the fastest class out here this year, our Jet Gold class, being led by our reigning champion, Rick Vandam, a Reno boy flying American Spirit, Ed Knowles' pride of his fleet here. Now, our Jets are going to take off from this flying start again. They're going to be led around the course behind Peavine Mountain by Jay Obernolte's beautiful Phenom 300, the Embraer Pace plane. They're going to come down the chute in line abreast, wing formation. He's going to pull up. They have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. Okay, let's go to the cockpit with Scott Farnsworth to see what it looks like as they go down the chute, heading for that guide pylon.
Going to do 6 laps around this course, which is about 8 miles long, so 48 miles, or just under that when it's all said and done here, and we're going to see some great racing in the meantime. Here they come.
Our pace plane has just said, gentlemen, you have a race. They have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon, which is just ahead of them. That's the light on the mountain. When Rick Vandam leads them to that light, it's a sharp left turn, 5G pull, and it's race on. Now they can change their respective lanes.
Rick Vandam occupying the pole position because of his status here as, of course, the defending champion, that white and red L39 Albatross.
Not to mention being the fastest qualifier at 506.168 miles per hour. Again, he's a 4-time champ, flying a 6-time winning airplane. It's the pride of Ed Knowles' fleet out of Houston, Texas. American Spirit, an L39 Albatross jet from the Aerofotohody factory out of Czech Republic. Now, we also have in this race, we've got some L29s, the little brother, that's the Delphin jets from the same factory.
Top qualifying time, 506 miles an hour and change. Of course, Rick Vandam, an American Spirit there. And Rick Vandam, as usual, making it look pretty much easy, Steve.
There's a great picture of what it looks like to pull about 5 Gs around this Nevada desert here. They are almost in a turn, constant turn the entire course, with exception of a small break on the Valley of Speed That's the shortest straightaway. But then again, when they get into the Valley of Speed, they've got pylons or the turns 7, 8, 9 where they can't be below 50 feet or above 250 feet.
Well, again, Rick Vandam, American Spirit race number 5, well ahead of the crowd right there. The battle right now, you can see it. The two Petes, Pete Stavridis in the American Patriot race 8 and race 24 with Pete Zaccanino just lucky.
Very, very tight quarters to put these Albatross and Delphin jets through.
As we watch Vandam making it, again, look very, very easy. It's kind of like the T6 class in that there's not a whole lot of modification they can do. They do a lot of little things to the exterior and certain little returns and bends in the frame and the skin, but it's closer to pilots really controlling the action here.
Yeah, every year I ask Ed Knoll, the aircraft owner for American Spirit, what do you do to be so much faster than the rest of the field? Because you are limited by what you can actually do to these things. And he just smiles at me. Well, behind the scenes I found out they lighten it up. You lighten up an L39 and it goes pretty well. That's the huge advantage to the L29 that Pete Zaccanino is flying, is they are much lighter than L39. Now right now he's trying to overtake Pete Stavridis, our FA-18 pilot, call sign Tool. If Zaccanino can get by him, Zaccanino knows that the shorter course is the advantage. Now, a few years ago, they were putting Rolls-Royce Viper engines in the L29, and they ran away from the 39s. He got by him. Look at this, Tommy.
Oh, yes, he did.
Zaccanino's got by him. He's secured second place. Tool's going to have a good shot of that L29 from behind now, but I don't think he's going to catch him in the laps remaining.
All right, Pete Zaccanino had a little altitude in his back pocket, and that certainly helped the effort.
It was awesome. Tool did a great job. He flew a great line, which helped me. With him flying a good line like that, I was able to fly a stacked high line, keeping clean air. You know, and I was, we found a couple of miles an hour to get around him. And he's a gentleman. I asked him if I was clear. He says, "It's yours." Boom. So we took that, and just took a lot of work to get around Tool, so I couldn't make it to 5. But that's what tomorrow's for.
White flag, white flag.
Pete Zaccanino having taken over second place, and we start the white flag, the final lap for this 6 laps of racing on our big course here. They'll complete 47 miles even here, and just a walk in the park for Rick Vandam.
Yeah, you know, Rick Vandam's flying an airplane that's been proven. I mean, they've got a great team. They've reworked this airplane year after year after year. They put it on the winner's podium. They've taken off everything that they know they can safely take off the airplane to lighten it up, which is huge when you're on a closed course like this. Probably the key thing was Rick had instructions, do not turn the air conditioning on.
And don't break anything, because you may just waltz right into another gold title. That's certainly what you'd have to predict at this time.
Plus the clear air. I mean, you get out in that clean air in a jet with Rick Vandam's experience and Ed Knoll's airplane, you're going to win.
Certainly the advantage to this team right here with American Spirit as we head on into the rest of the week here in Reno, and here we go.
Checkered flag, runway 8, wind 05012.
Well, American Spirit started this race in the pole position, and with that finish you see right there, now that it's official, they have gained that spot in the next race for the jet class. On top of the world, people really get knocked out by the speed of the jets, and it's the sound and the fury of the Unlimited. It really set the crowds on fire. We'll be right back.
You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
When you think of Reno Tahoe, you think of, warm summers and snowy winters. The time spent on the slopes and the hiking range, but this is really a 4-season resort destination. The autumn colors are magnificent here in the alpine air. It is a wonderful outdoor experience.
Unlimited base, roger, cleared onto the course, report entering the chute.
Smoke coming off the base line. Race control, we're on base leg. We've got the race course in sight. Looking good, guys. Gentlemen, you're looking good. Gentlemen, you got a race.
Bad boys of air racing are on the course for the first time in 2018. Let's listen. You know, missing from this year's lineup are the 3 fastest piston-driven, propeller-powered aircraft in the world, Voodoo, Strega, and Rare Bear, which opened up this field for a whole lot of pilots that have no championships under their belts. That brought back Dr. Brent Heisey in Miss America, one of the most famous paint schemes of all time in unlimited air racing history. Mike Flieger flying Lady B, formerly Miss Bardall, a racer from the 60s out here at Reno. We've got Mike Brown flying Goldfinger. He's our 06 unlimited champ, first time back since winning the championship. Airplane used to be called Risky Business. We've got Robbie Gordon back and Lady Joe, so a lot of airplanes came out of the woodworks for their opportunity to win that they usually don't have when Voodoo, Strega, and Rare Bear are here.
And Steve, your first statement there pretty much summed up the restrictions on the racing here in Unlimited. Piston-driven propeller airplanes, and that's all really there is.
That's it. That's the only limitation. That, and they have to qualify. They have to a minimum speed, which no problem for these guys.
Now, the similarity between this racing and bird watching, follow me here, is that people will travel from halfway around the world to hear a sound. And that's what they do for that sound right there.
You know, Tommy, I was wondering where you were going with that one. But yes, you are right. There's no sound like the sound of unlimited aircraft, Reno style. Okay, out front we've got Sherm Smoot, the president of the Unlimited class. He's flying the Sanders Aircraft airplane Argonaut, race number 114, powered by the Pratt & Whitney 2,800 cubic inch, 2,000 horsepower air-cooled radial. Flying one of the mighty Sea Furies. Sanders Aircraft prepares some of the best Sea Furies in the world. These are big airplanes. They're brutes of airplanes. They really beat up the air. They say there's nothing like trying to pass a Sea Fury because you got to go up the turbulence to get to it first.
There it is, Sherm Smoot out in front in Argonaut. Many of these planes, they're not flown a lot during the years, including those big name ones that are missing this year. They only really show up for events like this.
Well, especially the top three. They are hybrid race airplanes. The only reason they fly those is to get ready for Reno or to get ready to set a world speed record, as they did with Voodoo last year.
You know, we're dusting off cobwebs after a year sitting out, and this is the race that everybody works the kinks out, you know, and you know, we're all, this Unlimited race group, you know, there are only 250 of us or so, and there's more retired Blue Angels and Thunderbirds than there are Unlimited racers, and this is the race where we all sort of get back in the saddle, but you know, a year is a year, but that's racing, you know, and we all work together, and it's a great sport.
White flag, white flag.
Well said by Sherm Smoot right there. And in this particular heat, it's a great world if you're Sherm Smoot, because he is out there pretty much uncontested for the lead. He's going to walk with this one.
Yeah, Sherm's one of our Unlimited air race veterans here. He's been on the runner-up podium several times, flying that little yak Checkmate, but always the bridesmaid, never the bride at this point. So we'll see if 2018 is going to be Sherm's year. Again, flying one of the mighty Sea Furies out of Ione, California, Eagle's Nest from Sanders Aircraft.
And this is Heat 1A. This is the gold class right there, so that's a big step forward towards that national championship for Sherman Smoot, and he's got a comfortable lead right now. I don't think anyone's going to even challenge him as we get closer and closer to the end of this race right here. Look at the desert, look at the sagebrush, and the juniper marching by in quick step.
Yeah, he's flying behind the Pratt & Whitney R2800 radial engine. It's 2,000 horsepower, one of the most dependable aircraft engines ever built. Pretty safe bet he's going to cruise on home in first place where he is right now.
Qualifying time of 379 miles an hour. He's just under that right now. No need breaking anything when you got this thing in the bag, and that's what we're going to say about Sherman Smoot from Templeton, California.
Flag, checkered flag.
Crosses the start-finish line for an easy victory in this first go-around for the gold class, Heat 1A. Mark Watt in second place, Mike Brown and Goldfinger. Those two were battling out for a little while back there, but coming up, we got a big battle this year shaping up in the sport class. Can the traditional leader be taken down this time around?
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit RenoTahoe.com. Come visit the 56th Annual Air Races this September. Lock in your tickets at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL. Built in America, believing in America.
They built this event 55 years ago, and boy, did they come. Over 1 million spectators through the years, generating, wait for it, $600 million for the Reno Tahoe area, and we're ready for one of the big attractions, the sport class.
That's right, one of the most popular classes out there, Tommy, for the fact you can build them in your garage. This class is limited to any kit or amateur-built aircraft powered by an internal combustion engine totaling no more than 1,000 cubic inch and capable of over 200 miles per hour in qualifying.
Steve, I love the way you've described these planes in the past. You talked the 200. This is a home-built airplane that can go up to 400 miles per hour in certain conditions, right?
That's right. Jeff Lavelle would have been the 7th fastest qualifying Unlimited had he raced there in the past. Okay, now their course, they actually run the same course as the Unlimited. It's the 8-mile course. They are an air start. They'll take off in echelon formation. They are so fast they're having to use a jet for their pace and chase plane now. And they'll come down the chute in line abreast, wing abreast formation. The pace plane will pull up, launch them onto the course. Again, same thing, have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. Once at the guide pylon, sharp left turn, race on.
And race control. Sport gold pace is 3 minutes from the chute.
Sport gold pace, race control, cleared on the course.
Okay, moving up line abreast. And starting down the chute, got about 10 more degrees. Looking good. Looking real fine. Nice job, 39. Got the pylon, guide pylon in sight. Yeah, gentlemen, you're looking good. Gentlemen, you're going to race.
We are underway here for 6 laps. We're going to go just under 47 miles total in a very short period of time, Steve. And of course, the dominant figure throughout the past decade, more or less, Jeff Lavelle started in the number 1 post position.
Yeah, number 39, Jeff Lavelle is our 6-time champion flying that Glass Air 3. Amazing speeds, over 400 miles an hour in an airplane he built in his garage. But right on his tail for the last several years has been Andrew Findlay flying that newer style Lance Air Legacy 2000, number 30, called One Moment, sponsored by STIHL.
Shaping up to be a good battle. You can see the blue arrow pointing to where Jeff Lavelle, the hunted, if you will, in this particular scenario sits.
Look at this move now. He's got the altitude, he's got the line. It looks like Andrew's got him at this point, but Jeff's got the inside line, the shorter course. Let's see if Andrew can get past him with a clean pass. If not, Jeff's going to slide back in around these pylons. See, look at that inside line. Makes a shorter course for him.
But it looked like Andrew might be starting to claw out a little bit of an edge there.
Let's see, look how much longer course Andrew's having to fly to take that safe line around the outside. It allows Jeff to work right back in on the inside. These guys have finished this way several years in a row now. Andrew Findlay is trying to break this streak of being the bridesmaid on this one. Jeff Lavelle says, yeah, catch me if you can. You haven't done it yet.
Right, so far it's Jeff Lavelle able to hold off Andrew Findlay, but not by much. He dare not take Andrew Findlay out of the equation here because he's the stalking horse for sure.
Andrew has found a lot of speed in his airplane this past year, so much so that they had to take the graphics off the top wing because that vinyl graphic was actually bunching up and creating air disturbance over the wing.
So much for these guys to concentrate on, and when you got another plane that's like basically you could throw a little rock and hit it, it's all you can handle.
They're busy in the cockpits right now, trying to keep an eye on the other guy, trying to keep the boost turned up to as high as they can safely get it. Again, you want to get the best position you can early in the week, but you can't break now or you won't be here on Sunday. Look how close Andrew Findlay is to reeling in Jeff Lavelle again this year. Throw a blanket over the two of them.
Absolutely. This is what the fans came to see, tight racing like this. And here we are halfway through this race there, and it's Jeff Lavelle holding off Andrew Findlay, but just barely.
So Jeff's an engineer. He had a machine shop. I'm an engineer as well. I've always been around engines, making engines go fast, so it's kind of my fun thing to do. We're always tweaking, trying to find that, what can we do to cooling drag, what can we do to aerodynamic, make the plane better, and then what can we do to boost the engines and make a whole bunch of power. So Jeff and I will run over 30 pounds of boost in our engines and just seeing how fast they can go. So he broke 400 miles an hour and set a new record in qualifying this year. We're right behind him, just a little bit under 400, but we're going to keep pushing for him. We're definitely at least keep him honest. Last year we came really close there. This year we're gonna push him the best we can, but he put down a pretty good qualifying speed.
White flag, white flag.
Tommy, how great is this? These are the two fastest 6-cylinder engines in the world right here for us in Reno this year. Jeff Lavelle, I guarantee his crew is talking to him on the radio saying, okay, don't look now, but at your 5 o'clock, you've got an orange airplane moving on you. Jeff's going, oh, I know it. Trust me, I know it.
Yeah, you got to figure it may not be a win, on the leaderboard at the end of this for Andrew Findlay, but it will be a victory of sorts, firing a shot across the bow, if you will.
Well, Andrew Findlay had a message to give to Jeff Lavelle. I think he delivered it in style. It's going to be a long night for Jeff Lavelle's mechanics as they try to figure out how to hold off Andrew Findlay this year.
Here they come around the pylon. Heading for the start-finish line, passing the traffic. It is Jeff Lavelle, the dominant figure in the sport class. Heat 1A will belong to him. Andrew Findlay, a close second again. That tells us what may be in the future of this particular class this week in Reno. Findlay not very far behind. Mills, Balmer, Rust, Hade, Walker, and Benzing rounding out the 8.
Oh my God. Awesome, buddy. You know, when we were laughing, like coming over to him, I go, I hope you got me in sight because I don't see you.
Right, no, I had you.
Like,
that's why I said, Vicky, we're going to be on your left and your right. We just kind of...
That was our STIHL power move of the day. Andrew Findlay briefly breaking through, taking the lead, with Jeff Lavelle charging back. Your power move is great racing, in other words. Wonderful stuff, what the people turn out for year in and year out here in Reno, Nevada. And believe it or not, we're just getting started. We have so much more to bring you next time when we see the STIHL National Championship Air Races.